All right, everyone, welcome back to the Old Republic podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about Star Wars Celebration. It just happened over this past weekend, and hopefully, we're getting this out pretty timely because there's a bunch of stuff we wanted to talk about. Celebration, we just had one last year in 2022 out in Anaheim. This year, it is back in London for Celebration 2023, and they packed a lot into this 4 day weekend. But, Cassie and I, we didn't make our way over to England to go to Celebration ourselves. We had to take in the content from home, but luckily, one of our friends was able to go and enjoy Celebration in person. So back with us again is Jake. You might remember him from episode 130. We talked about Moon Knight. Jake contributed to our KOTOR Celebration episode as well. But welcome back to the podcast, Jake.
Hi, yeah, good to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for anyone who didn't listen to that, Jake, why don't you tell everyone just a little bit about yourself, and how you got into Star Wars and how you made your way to Celebration?
I've been a fan of Star Wars ever since I was little. Obviously, I introduced it by my dad. Got back into it a bit later when The Mandalorian started coming out, and after that, I am currently learning and teaching myself to become a concept artist, and that's sort of where I'm at the moment. I'm not sure there's anything else, but in terms of Celebration, I live in England, so I hopped down on the train down to London with my sister, and we went down and enjoyed Celebration for 3 days.
Awesome. That's
Very
great.
cool.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I was very, very jealous of everyone that got to be there. It looked like a really great time. So, those of us stuck at home, Cassie, I don't know how you took in any of Celebration. I happened to be in a part of the country where it was very cold and very rainy over this weekend. So I was able to kind of sit and just, take in a lot of the panels that they were streaming and stuff like that. So kind of had my own celebration from home, was, getting as much of that as I could, hanging out on Discord and chatting about stuff and watching the trailers that they were releasing and stuff like that. But what about you, Cassia? I watched a lot of this Celebration. What about you? Did you take any of this in? Did you even know it was Celebration?
I'm a fake fan because I literally thought Celebration was gonna be in May, so I was not paying attention to any of this. So, luckily, some people posted on our Discord, and I was like, "Oh, Celebration!" Then I'm like, "Oh, it's happening right now." So I learned a little bit that way. I haven't watched anything, so I thought we better have a guest who was, there, and you paid attention. So I'm not the honor student, in this episode.
That's all right. You were a little tardy for Celebration, but that's okay. That's okay. Because we have a lot to cover here, and yeah, it's awesome that you got to go, Jake. So you took the train down. You said you and your sisters. So was this your first Celebration? Had you been to any of the others prior to this, or was this your first time doing this? And just what about kind of like Comic Cons or bigger conventions in general?
No, this is my first Celebration I've been to. My sister and I had previously been to a couple of smaller cons, but we'd never been to anything this big before.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was bit overwhelming, but exciting.
Yeah. What was the setup like there? I know last year in Anaheim, I know they had kind of a big like underground section where they had a big display, and then obviously you have the show floor. But what was kind of the setup, or what was your first impressions when you walked in? I saw like the picture of the long queue for everyone to get in on that first day. What did you think about the way it was set up?
Um, Honestly, it was quite well organized for people entering. Like it wasn't just like a big long line of people. It was so everyone came in on the train, and then they walked up to, because the train landed exactly at the center.
Hmm.
So everyone would walk up these like platforms and stuff, and because it was essentially the convention center was a load of large hangars, more or less, with like a central
Okay.
strip which would go off into the separate hangars. But everyone, they'd walk into the first hangar, and there's a bunch of rails in between to separate them all out into lines. So some of them would be going off for people who have reservations for some of the earlier panels, or if they had photo ops, those were some separate lines. But most people would just go straight down to the right, and everyone would just fill in these rectangles of lines. So there might be like 7 or 8 full lines of thousands of people waiting until 10 until they started letting people in.
Okay, that's awesome. That's great to hear that it was well organized, because yeah, I mean, when I was watching it at home, all I was seeing is you see kind of that main like celebration stage there. That's where the bulk of the live streaming is taking place, and you just see this large group of people. So it's always interesting to me just from a a stance of how the logistics of this thing actually work. I think that stuff is really interesting in putting something together of that scale. So it's good to hear that it was pretty well organized. And we got a lot of really great stuff kind of at home. So the live stream was sponsored by EA's Jedi Survivor. That was kind of the main sponsor of it. I mean, obviously, Lucasfilm and Disney are putting it on for everyone kind of at home, but definitely don't get to see the whole scope of everything going on at Celebration. Between the main stage there, plus all the separate areas where they're having different panels and the different kind of like vendor alley kind of thing and art. There was like a tattoo strip, I think, there going on, and droids and all sorts of stuff. It looked like a crazy fun time. So Jake, you made your way through the line, you got inside. What were some of the highlights? What were kind of the more fun parts of your Celebration experience? Were you more like trying to check out some of the smaller panels? Were you going to look for merchandise? What were your goals, or what did you have the most fun doing while you were there?
Well, to actually get into any of the larger panels, which I mean, obviously everyone wants to get in, see all the new content firsthand, but you had to book these. Well, not book. It was almost like a raffle. You'd put your name in, and either you'd get a ticket reservation or you wouldn't. So the reason that they were doing that was to stop people from queuing up for really like a long time. So there's a very limited amount of capacity extra for people to line up for. I think it was mostly just to get rid of that classic like imagery of long lines of people just sitting there all night just waiting for these panels and stuff.
Right.
So we didn't get into any of those, but we knew that all the information would be passed on eventually, so we weren't really too bothered about that. So we just went to some smaller panels. We mostly went to some the making of and art panels and stuff like that. So yeah, no, it was really fun. We met some concept artists. We met Doug Chang. That was a pretty good highlight.
Yeah.
Just a lot of people, going over the process, like the making of like different designs and sort of all the interesting little behind the scenes stuff. It was really cool.
What were some new things you learned?
I mean, a lot of it I kind of already knew, but there was a lot of I don't know, I suppose what their day-to-day like lives look like. Yeah, there's the big thing around crunch and how they have to put out so much work and all these designs every day. They've got to put out like maybe 30 designs, depending on like various ranges of finish, but you have to put out like 30 different designs, and they're all I mean, fairly stressful, but rewarding job. And I think there were a couple of other panels where some guys went over sort of their careers, how they ended up landing at Lucasfilm. I mean, none of them intentionally landed at Lucasfilm. It was always something like way out of their reach, but through a lot of long time and effort, they kind of stumbled their way in.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Yeah, that's great, especially for someone like yourself that is doing some art, to see stuff like that, and talk to people within the industry and stuff like that. So that is really cool. One of the art things that they announced and showed was, this book might be available now, or it should be out here shortly. I think with the release of the game is the Art of Jedi Survivor. That's going to be coming out here very shortly. Jedi Survivor itself is scheduled to come out, I want to say, on April the 28th, so just in about 2 weeks. It's been pushed back, unfortunately, but just about ready for that to come out to PlayStation 5 and the Xbox and to PC. Jake, did you play the Jedi Fallen Order?
I did. I thought it was a really fun game. I was a little dissatisfied with the ending, but I'm not going to spoil that. But the overall story, fun, cool characters. Gameplay was pretty good. I know a lot of people were complaining about the the lightsaber dismemberment being a bit like baseball bats, but overall, I thought it was a really fun game. Really good acting in it. Good story.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. The crew is back. There's the novel out now that you can read that takes place kind of between the first and second games. I'm about halfway through that one. But Cassie, I don't know if you had a chance to play Jedi Fallen Order, but I think you're pretty familiar with the story. Is that right?
Yeah, I played a little bit of the first few levels, and then I was like, I am way out of like playing video games, and like I was just busy, working. And so I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to watch a playthrough. And that's what I did. And I was, spoilers for Jedi Fallen Order. I was sad when, was it the second sister who died at the end? Her name was Trilla Senduri, I think. And, but everyone was happy when Darth Vader came. It was an epic moment, but yeah, it had a good story, and it'll be interesting to see how it continues into the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going 10 years into the future from kind of the end of that first game into the second game here for Jedi Survivor. There was a final gameplay trailer released there at Celebration, and you can watch it at home. It's available on YouTube. All right, yeah, and so the trailer the final trailer for Jedi Survivor was released there at the panel for Jedi Survivor. We're going to watch it now. So if you're listening along at home and you want to watch along with us, or if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to try to get it into the video here. But let's get this started. We'll kind of watch through it and give our thoughts about it. So everyone at home, 3, 2, 1, punch it, Chewie. And this is rated teen for violence and mild language. And there's BD1, the best droid. There's a very large creature. BD1 has a jetpack. Mostly, I'm just here for BD1 content, to be honest.
Speeders, that's cool.
Whoa. He threw that guy into a TIE fighter.
Oh, Coruscant.
Got Marin. We don't know who that is. Cal is going beast mode on these guys here.
Yeah. Or he does.
Okay, so Jedi Survivor, April 28th. So that's coming out in just a few weeks after you're listening to this. So, Jake, let's start with you. Any kind of thoughts or impressions from the trailer? Anything you're excited about, or anything you were looking forward to kind of after playing the first game?
I'm quite interested in seeing how Cal and Merrin's relationships kind of developed because they seem to be really. There seems to be some gameplay where they're kind of working together, so
Hmm.
that should be interesting to see because we didn't really get much on Merrin's character until the very end of the game.
Yeah, that's true. We you kind of pick her up towards the end, and then she goes along with the crew, but you don't really get to see her, in action much there at the end of the game. So it'll be interesting to see how they develop her character out for sure.
And then I was kind of thinking it was cool to see the continuation of the story because uh Cal kind of survived by accident, and we kind of saw how he kind of dealt with the fallout of Order 66, and now he's been surviving for a long time, and that's the title, Jedi Survivor. How is that going to impact him? Like, what keeps him going? So I hope it's a nice like character, like driven story. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm kind of interested just from what we saw in the trailer there, seeing what they do with the storyline for Seer. She looks like she's got, kind of some more like classic like Jedi robe type of garments going on there. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what their relationship is here, fast forward 10 years. Looking, at what happened at the end of the first game, how she's processed that, and how much mentoring she's doing with Cal and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm very, very excited for this. I can't wait. I've had it pre-ordered, so I'm just waiting for it to start downloading onto the good old PlayStation, and then I'll be ready to go with that for sure. So yeah, and special shout out to Jedi Survivor for, like I said, sponsoring the home stream, so I was able to watch a lot of this at home. So good job there. Well, why don't we pause there? We're going to shift gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about some of the TV shows that they talked about. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the TV shows, Cassia. So we've got Andor, we've had Kenobi, Book of Boba Fett, and then obviously the Mandalorian is still going on, but we've got some new stuff coming our way. And the first thing is Ahsoka. Dave Filoni's kind of I don't know, Dave Filoni's character of endearment for sure. We saw her a couple of times here in Book of Boba Fett and in The Mandalorian, but finally getting her own show, and got the trailer for everyone that was released, at Celebration and around the world to everyone. Jake, you were there. You were at Celebration when this trailer dropped. I don't know if you got to see it live at the panel or not, but obviously they were showing it. Everyone, I'm sure, was watching it in some sort of capacity. What was the general kind of uh, excitedness of everyone in the room when the Ahsoka trailer came out?
Oh, well, I mean, I didn't see it live, but when they did show it, it was around the at central stage where they're doing interviews with a lot of different the actors and stuff. But they showed a clip, well, not the clip, but the whole trailer, and the whole place just went absolutely wild. Like every few seconds when a new clip of like action came up, everyone just went absolutely crazy. The it got really, really loud, particularly when Chopper came on screen. I think that's the character
Mm,
everyone's been really excited to see for some reason. I mean, he's a pretty cool little droid, but people are
yeah.
getting really hyped over Chopper.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, Chopper looked great in the trailer there. I was driving, I was in my car when the trailer came out, and someone posted it on to Discord. So I turned it on, was just listening to the audio of it like through like my car speakers, and I'm like, this sounds insane. So then when I got to where I was going, I finally watched it, and ooh, it looked really good. I'm really hyped for this. Ahsoka was a show that I was pretty interested in. I knew it was obviously going to lean into kind of the Rebels story a little bit, and we'd gotten some Ahsoka stuff, and I was excited for it, but I wasn't like super super hyped for it as much as I was some of the other projects that were going on. But after seeing this trailer, I'm all on board for this thing. It looks great. Cassia, have you had a chance to watch the trailer yet?
No, because I didn't know if we were going to be reacting to them here, and it's fine if we don't. Like, maybe I'll just be more surprised when the series comes out, So
You can
yeah.
be extra surprised. You actually don't have long to wait. It's coming out in August of 2023. There's some good stuff there. Cassia, if you want to, we can watch it right now, live on
Okay.
air for everyone. Okay.
All right.
Let's do this. This will be our second kind of watch along here for the Ahsoka trailer. Okay, and again, if you're listening at home, feel free to follow along or check out the YouTube. We'll have that going along with our commentary there. But 3, 2, 1.
Punch it. Looks animated, but it's live action.
Yeah, look kind of like the temple on Lothal there.
Love the hair.
Okay. So we've got like the whole Rebels crew there. There's a lot of talk about these orangish lightsabers.
Yeah. I think it has to be intentional.
Yeah, Dave Filoni, I think he called out and he said that the orange lightsabers were intentional.
Yeah. Oh, Huang. That's David Tennant's voice.
That's right, yeah.
That's a good trailer.
So the doctor is back as what's his name? Dr. Huang? Was that his
Huang, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, all the Rebel stuff, Dr. Huang from Clone Wars there. So I think it's going to be dipping around kind of into both of those, but saw a lot of Rebels there. So we saw Sabine, we saw Hera, Chopper, we've seen Zeb now in the Mandalorian, and then of course Thrawn was the big one. Everyone I even saw people were even like analyzing the ears for Mr. Mickelson and Thrawn, and turns out that it is Mr. Mickelson is coming in to do live action Thrawn. He came out and they did that announcement the next day. So yeah, that is Ahsoka, August 2023. It looks great. I'm real excited for it and excited to see the story. Rebels is one of my favorite Star Wars stories, so I'm excited to see how this starts to play out. Jake, were you a fan of Rebels? Did you watch Rebels?
Oh yeah, I absolutely loved Rebels. It was funny though, because whenever I talked to anyone about it, they were all like, "Well, either they hadn't watched it or they didn't like it because they thought it was, too cartoonish." But it was just absolutely ridiculous the amount of people who just completely dismissed it because of, because of the animation style. But fantastic story, one of my favorites.
Yeah, definitely. I myself, like I said, I love Rebels, and I kind of get that argument. You're coming off of Clone Wars, and then the Rebels. Yeah, it felt very much more cartoonish, so it was a little bit of a jolt. But I think it's for my Star Wars dollars, that's about as good as it gets. What about you, Cassie? Were you a big Rebels fan?
I was aware of it. I probably didn't follow it as closely as the Clone Wars, but it's really grown on me, and you can kind of just see the evolution of Filoni's storytelling, like from Clone Wars to Rebels to the Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So we've got, like I said, Ahsoka coming in August, so that's not going to be very far off here, just a couple of months. So as we wrap up Mandalorian, we'll be getting into that world in not too long. So a couple other things here on TV. Not going to spend a bunch of time on these, but we have Skeleton Crew that is coming. It's created by John Watts and Chris Ford, who brought us Spider-Man Homecoming. So that's pretty cool. Jude Law obviously is in it. We've known that for quite a while. This is more of like a young adult kind of a focus here on this show. There was not an official release date given, but it looks like it's probably going to be out at the end of this year, probably following Ahsoka. So like I said, later this year, or maybe kind of the beginning part of next year. And I think at Celebration, they did show some teaser footage of that, but they never released anything officially. So I didn't want to get into that. I think that some of the stuff is out there. If you feel so inclined to search it out, you probably know how and where to do that. So I'll leave that as it is. And then Acolyte, there was an Acolyte panel. Kind of the big thing takeaway for me was that they announced that Vanessa Henderson is going to be playing Vernesta Rowe in the Acolyte. That's pretty exciting, set in the High Republic timeline there. So I know that got a lot of good feedback from everyone who's a fan of the High Republic. And speaking of the High Republic, phase 3 of that is set to begin this fall. Either of those, Jake, we don't have to get into them too much because there wasn't any kind of official trailer or anything like that shown. But Skeleton Crew, Acolyte, are you excited for either of these? What was the talk of Celebration about both of these shows? Anything to report back on?
I really didn't hear much about either of them. I mean, particularly Skeleton Crew, I heard next to nothing. All I knew was that what's his name showed up. Sorry, I forgot what his name is.
Jude Law.
Yeah, Jude Law was there, along with some of the child actors. There really wasn't much to be said about it, to be honest. But I mean, I've been excited about the Acolyte for quite a while, but I think the only thing that I've heard, I don't know if it was linked towards the Acolyte or if it was during the studio showcase, but they showed off a timeline which kind of confirmed that they might be doing something with the Old Republic. As they showed off, because they announced that there would be the 3 films that were being directed, and I think that they wanted to show the timeline, so it was like the first Jedi ever to exist, and then it kind of went Old Republic, High Republic, in that kind of timeline, and that was quite cool to see that they actually acknowledged the Old Republic at all.
Yeah, it was pretty cool seeing there that big banner kind of over that main stage, and it had all kind of the different logos of the different, so like the Dawn of the Jedi and then the Old Republic and High Republic, and then you get into the kind of the current quote unquote timeline there. So that's pretty exciting. I'm very excited for the Acolyte. I'm interested to see how that goes. It's filming is still ongoing, I think. So that's going to be releasing sometime in 2024. No set date on that. We'll have to wait there. But something we do have a fixed date for is the next set of Visions animated shorts to be released May the 4th on Disney Plus. I don't know if they said they're going to do them all at the same time like they did last year. I would imagine it's going to be a big dump of all of those. But I'm very excited for these. We'll probably do a little bit of a Patreon exclusive Visions content over on our Patreon. It's patreon.com/Old Republic Podcast. You can go and get some more stuff there, but we got a trailer for Visions, and then they brought out all of the studios. It was awesome. This was one of the ones they showed at home, so I was able to kind of see that, because Visions, I think, Cassia, that was one of our favorite Star Wars kind of things of in the recent times, right?
Yeah, it was a nice way to pay tribute to some of the sources that deeply inspired and inspire Star Wars today, and it was just something new. I just love that we're not just kind of retreading the stories we already know, and we're kind of playing like with non-canon stuff, so I think it kind of allows for more creativity.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's studios coming kind of from all around the world. So obviously they're having the Japanese anime studios, but there's also stuff from Ireland and France and Chile and stuff. So I'm really excited for this. Very excited. Like I said, they did the trailer there for that one as well. You can get a little bit more insight on what we think about this, and we'll kind of go through those shows, like I said, over on Patreon. Jake, what about Visions? Did you like the first season of Visions? Is that something that you're interested in, kind of that anime world? And this one's shifting a little bit of gears, still kind of the same, but spreading out its wings a little bit.
Yeah, the first season of Visions I enjoyed to a degree. I think everyone kind of had their favorites and some of them not so much. But yeah, I remember particularly enjoying the one called The Elder, and in the first episode as well, which was really visually striking. The one that was black and white. I think it was called The Ronin or something.
Yep.
Those two episodes were top tier in my opinion. But the yeah, in terms of season two, I'm quite excited to see what happens because they've expanded which studios they're allowing on. I know they have the studio that produced Wallace and Gromit is doing one, which should be quite funny to see. No, yeah, it just exciting, really. Like Cassia said, because it's not canon, it's they can really do whatever they want with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm very excited for it. So May the 4th, I'll be watching that for sure and getting into all of those. And yeah, just very much looking forward to it. So speaking of May the 4th and animated stuff, we've got Young Jedi Adventures that is coming out on May the 4th. The trailer for that is available from Star Wars' official YouTube channel. You can go there and watch that. That's aimed more at like pre-K, kindergarten, so like young kids. But it looks super fun. It looks super cute and adorable. There's a bunch of merchandise coming out for it. Really starting to shift gears, I guess, to the next generation of potential Star Wars fans. It's going to be based in the High Republic timeline there. So very excited about that. Everyone loves little Nubs, the little Wookiee Jedi there. So excited to see how that goes. And then a couple of other TV announcements. They announced Bad Batch Season 3 coming out next year, a new season of Tales of the Jedi. Didn't get much information about what direction that was going to be taking, what Jedi, or if it was going to be more Dooku and Ahsoka stories. Didn't get too much on that. And then, of course, Andor Season 2, they showed off some sizzle reel kind of stuff for that there at Celebration for everyone in attendance. So I don't know. So those are kind of the TV show stuff that we got. Any parting thoughts on any of the TV show stuff, Cassia?
Ahsoka looks very good. I'm not very familiar with Skeleton Crew. Visions is coming up. I'm very excited for that. That comes out on May the 4th. We'll probably have to do maybe an episode or two on that. I'm very excited for it. And in the last year, I've been trying to watch more Akira Kurosawa films, and I got the Criterion 50% off Seven Samurai, so I'm very stoked to watch that too.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. What about you, Jake? Any parting thoughts here as we turn our attention away from the TV series?
No, I don't think so. I mean, again, honestly just excited to see where they go with it. If just sort of where the stories go. I can't say there's much more to. Just looking forward to seeing what happens, really.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's going to put a pin in the TV shows for right now. Let's step back and we'll be talking about the movies that were announced next. All right. So Kathleen Kennedy went up onto the stage and she basically announced 3 films that are in development in some sense or another. So we've got the first one. It's going to be tying into that Ahsoka show that we just talked about, the Dave Filoni film that's set to kind of tie and put a nice pretty bow on the Mandoverse, as they're calling it. So we've got that one. We've got the kind of Dawn of the Jedi timeline, the origin story of Star Wars, basically. James Mangold is penned to be directing that one, and then kind of the big announcement that sent a flutter through all of Star Wars was that Daisy Ridley is going to be coming back to play Rey in a film set after The Rise of Skywalker. I think 15 years in the future, I think is what was said about that. So Charmin Obaid-Chinoy is set to direct that. So 3 new movie announcements. Now, we haven't had a movie since The Rise of Skywalker in 2019. going into 2020. So on one hand, that feels like a long time. On another hand, that doesn't really feel like that long, because we've had some lengthy times between Star Wars films in the past. And, there's still some other stuff, maybe kind of on the back burner, still in the works. But Jake, you were there. What was kind of your general impression about these movie announcements?
I think quite excited for the beginning of the Force film, or whatever they decide to call it. Because from what I heard, it was supposed to be almost like a biblical kind of epic, I guess. And I
Hmm.
was quite excited about the director being the same director who filmed Logan. Just interested to see, based off of like the quality of that film alone, I'd say I'm very excited to see where that film goes in terms of tone. If it's going to be maybe a little bit grittier than the average Star Wars film, or I mean, perhaps not as gritty as Logan, but maybe a more serious tone, or what. I think it's just an exciting prospect because we've never went back that far in
Hmm.
apart from the KOTOR games. We really haven't seen anything like it, so that's quite exciting.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very excited for that one. James Mangold is a director I like a lot. You mentioned Logan, also did Ford versus Ferrari as well. I think got an Academy Award nomination for that, if I'm not mistaken. And then James Mangold is doing the up and coming Indiana Jones film, so has some track record there with Lucasfilm and kind of this iteration of it as well. So pretty excited about that. Very excited for Daisy Ridley to be returning as Rey. Very optimistic about that one. Daisy Ridley started posting on her Instagram about 6 months ago. Every time she was going into Skywalker Ranch and the Lucasfilm offices and stuff like that. So that makes sense. I think they're trying to keep that as hush hush as possible. So we'll have to see. But Cassia, any of these three movies strike a nerve with you, or what do you think about the films that were announced here?
It'll be cool to see how the Star Wars story evolves after the rise of Skywalker. And it'll be interesting to see Rey and hopefully some of her friends, in the future Star Wars galaxy and possibly as Jedi, teachers and everything. And I'm interested in the beginning of the Force. If you really kind of like examine it, like what Lucas said, it's very interesting. I think they even might have touched upon it in the novelization for The Phantom Menace,
Mm-hmm, hmm.
and it'll be nice to see Filoni take on um, a movie, a full live action movie after beginning in animation and telling stories on TV. And yeah, I just hope that, I don't know, I've been burned before, so I just hope that
Yeah.
these happen. And I'm rooting for them. I love Star Wars. I want Star Wars to succeed. And I love movies so much. And I think Star Wars is at its best when it's a movie.
Yeah, yeah, that's a fair concern because you never really know how these are going to play out. Yeah, I'm pretty hopeful and optimistic about that. Kathleen Kennedy actually kind of addressed some of that other stuff too. She said, she's still in constant talks with Ryan Johnson. Still wants to do something once he's able to get some time. She said Taika Waititi is still in the process of writing his script, so I don't know. We'll have to see about that, but yeah, I'm pretty optimistic for all three of these. Like I said, James Mangold has kind of this working, record now with Lucasfilm doing the Indiana Jones film. So I would think he'd have worked pretty closely with Kathleen Kennedy, and that too is. Produced Raiders of the Lost Ark all the way back in the day, and then obviously the Dave Filoni film is pretty much a guarantee to happen, whether that happens as a movie on the big screen or a movie on Disney Plus. But I, definitely will happen. I think in some capacity, as all these stories have to get tied together at some point, to tie in Ahsoka and The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, and kind of all of these stories that are ongoing right now. So yeah, so that is kind of where we're at with movie wise. Maybe when we get to the next celebration, maybe there will be a trailer for one of these, and that would be even more exciting. So let us know what you think about the movies down in the comments, and let's step back a little bit and get to the real important stuff about Star Wars, and that's the merchandise. All right, merchandise at Celebration. At any time you think of Star Wars, Star Wars basically is merchandise, and merchandise is basically Star Wars. So, Jake, inquiring minds, mostly myself, who has a lot of anxiety about what all I missed out on at Celebration. What'd you get there? Did you get anything cool? Let us know. What'd you get?
It's funny. I came prepared with lots of money to potentially spend. In the end, I never actually ended up buying anything apart from a print that I pre-ordered because I really wanted it.
Wow.
I,
Okay.
there was a lot of stuff though. There was so many stalls. I mean, there were like basically two hangars dedicated to just like stalls and tattoo artists and the art show that they had going on as well. A lot of the stuff that they had, from some of the independent stores. I mean, they had like Hot Toys and prints and T-shirts and all kinds of statues and figures and whatnot. But they also had, what did they have? They had some stores from big companies like Hasbro, and I think they were revealing some new like Black Series lines, and I think, oh yeah, they also had the new Scout Trooper Black Series helmet on display as well. So that looked
Oh, okay.
really, really cool. Yeah, I mean, I think the highlight for me was probably looking around all the tattoo artists. I mean, those guys were doing tattoos on the show floor. You could you could book to go get a tattoo if you really wanted to. I know my sister was considering getting a tattoo, but she ended up deciding against it.
Yeah.
The art show in particular was quite cool. They had a bunch of Lucasfilm licensed artists there to selling off the prints and stuff. Yeah, in the end, I never ended up buying anything. I didn't feel like I could justify, buying a Hot Toys figure and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's fair, I guess. I'm gonna, I'm gonna show this to you, Cassia, because you're about to be real mad at Jake, because he could have gotten this right here. This was the Celebration exclusive Max Rebo. But that's okay. That's okay. That's cool though. So you got a print. What was the print of, if you don't mind?
Oh, it was like it was. Imagine like what some of the concept art that they have at the end of the shows. It was sort of in the style of that. I think the guy who did it was a concept artist at some point, but it was sort of a ice planet with a big explosion and U-wing, I think, sort of outline in the Rogue One crew, kind of I don't know, in the silhouette of the explosion. Yeah, no, it looked really cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, all the art is really great there. I know they post some of it on. You can go to like the Celebration like shop online that it shows you like kind of the exclusive stuff they're going to have. But then I know there's just like hundreds of other just artists that are there doing a bunch of really cool stuff. So that's awesome. Definitely would be interested to see anyone out there listening if you got some pictures of any cool art or buy some art. Definitely share that with us because I love all that kind of stuff too. You mentioned it. Jake, we had the big Hasbro showcase. They're always there doing a bunch of stuff. Just going to run through kind of some of these things. They announced a lot of Black Series figures and vintage collection figures, but kind of the big ones for Celebration themselves. And you can actually go onto Hasbro and get this stuff now if you want. The Naboo N1 Starfighter is the big one they had there. There was also like the Force Ghosts of Yoda, Anakin, and Obi-Wan, who is like the Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan, I think, and obviously Anakin being Hayden Christensen. There's a new vintage collection, Jabba the Hutt, an animatronic chopper, the Ahsoka Trooper helmet. They announced that looks pretty cool. If you have a bunch of Ahsoka stuff going on, that would be a cool helmet to add to your collection. You can go get any of that stuff now, but something that you can't get quite yet because this was a pipeline reveal. This is a little bit more fitting to us. They announced that they're going to be releasing a vintage collection Darth Revan. So that's pretty exciting stuff. There's never been a vintage collection Revan, to my knowledge. There was supposed to be one in 2018, but kind of fell through the cracks, I guess, of a team realignment there at Hasbro. So finally getting a little 3 3/4 inch Revan. So that'll be good.
Oh, more Darth Revan is always good. So says us. So say we. Yeah, I know how to speak English. So say we at the Old Republic podcast.
That's right. So saith us. Absolutely. So anytime we get KOTOR merch, that's good. We got that. So we got Lego. They didn't do too much in the way of announcements. This stuff was already kind of announced by them prior, but they have the big Ultimate Collection X-Wing. They're doing some Young Jedi Adventure Lego sets. Those look pretty fun. And then the Return of the Jedi diorama. It is the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi this year. You'll be able to go see that in your movie theaters, I guess, at the end of the month. I haven't been able to see tickets go on sale for that yet. So let me know when they do, because I definitely want to go and see that. And then Gentle Giant was there. They did a couple of Celebration exclusives. You could get Trapper Wolf, also known as Dave Filoni, the best pilot in the land, I guess. He was there. And you can also get Jackson, that big green rabbit from the comics. You can get a statue of him. I may or may not have ordered him when they went up for sale on Gentle Giant's website. So you can both get both of those still available as of this morning when we started recording. A couple of other things from Gentle Giant wanted to make note of. Indiana Jones statues are there available for pre-order, and they showed off at Celebration. One of the live stream things, they had the kind of the unpainted sculpts of these. But Gentle Giant does the vintage collection figures in like large, gigantic size. And they're doing the Max Rebo Band vintage set. So definitely one to keep an eye out for you there. Jake, you walked around and saw some of this stuff. You mentioned it a little bit kind of in the Hasbro stuff. Was there anything else that kind of stuck out to you merchandise wise, either toy wise or collectible wise, or just anything else that stood out to you about Celebration?
I mean, I think you pretty much covered it. Yeah, the Gentle Giant store, I guess. The Jackson statue sold out pretty quickly, I noticed. I think there was also like a Wedge Antilles and Trapper Wolf sort of busts that were getting sold out quite quickly. I mean, I saw the unpainted Max Rebo band. They looked awesome. No, yeah, they were getting sold really quickly at Gentle Giant. Like, I noticed that their store was pretty much empty by the end of the day on all the days. Yeah, I guess they were doing really well for themselves.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I saw a bunch of people on Instagram just posting pictures of carrying those big giant boxes around. I suppose that's an issue if you're going to get a bunch of stuff, then you have to deal with it for the rest of the day. So maybe you were in the right there, Jake, not picking up too much stuff. I think that was a good idea. What anything to say about any of this merchandise, Cassia? I know that you're not the collector of things as I am.
Yeah, I was like, how can I ever compete with you? So why even try? But yeah, there's always, if you're a Star Wars fan and you want a thing, the thing probably exists. Like, it might not be cheap, but I think it's there, and I don't know, I kind of more like books or Max Rebo things, and I'm sad I missed out on the exclusive, like cute little plushy Max Rebo, like, and maybe I'll never get over that quite, but I don't know. It looks like high quality merchandise that they're producing. So if you're a collector, go for it.
Yeah, for sure. When Max Rebo shows up in Ahsoka, then we'll expect some more Max Rebo merchandise for sure. I think
Yeah.
that's basically a
I hope
guarantee.
his I hope his bandmates survive, or else he's gonna start feeling cursed and like we'll just see him like maybe with tears streaming down from his black eyes onto his trunk, and like just like morosely playing a sad tune on his little, whatever that instrument is called, and
That's
like
right.
just like
Mm.
maybe he has 9 lives. So
Max Rebo has 9 lives. Yeah, that's right. He survived Jabba's barge. He could certainly survive the breakup of his band. I don't know for sure. But yeah, so that was the merchandise. I don't know where we were going with that, but that's okay. That's okay. Celebration is a wild time. It's filled with a lot of hours. And then it ends. They announced the next celebration is going to be in 2025 in Japan. Assume that means Tokyo, but not 100% for sure on that. I think they just said Japan there. So Jake, I want to talk to you just a little bit about kind of your overall celebration experience, right? You talked a little bit about kind of getting there and kind of navigating the panels and moving around and seeing the different artwork and stuff. You spent 3 days there. What was that like? Was it like exhausting? Was it like stimulus overload? Were you able to cope with that okay? What were kind of your takeaways then once it ended and you can kind of catch your breath and you go out and see the sun blaring like after a late night out or something? I don't know for sure, but what were your kind of parting thoughts with Celebration?
Well, the first day there was super overwhelming. There were so many people, it was ridiculous. I mean, you could barely like move without like, bumping into someone. Um, Honestly, I think my biggest takeaway is bring a chair if you go, like bring a foldable chair because you will be standing for a very, very long time. So it's nice to be able to sit down at some point.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of standing, just a lot of like queuing up for things and like, oh my days. Yeah. Very, very, very tiring on the legs. I mean, if nothing else, it was super fun though. It's just a really good atmosphere, I'd say. Everyone's really excited to be there. Um, you know, just it was just cool to be there, if nothing else.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, very tiring though. Not, I wouldn't say I was relieved to end up going back home, but it was it was yeah, I don't know. It was I've lost the words.
Yeah, I would imagine that that first night back in your own bed probably is pretty well earned after the weekend for sure. So yeah, for me kind of watching it at home, that's kind of the big takeaway. And anytime you talk to anyone who's been to Celebration, they say kind of the same things that you're saying, Jake, that it's just such a fun atmosphere. It's just neat to be a part of something that's that big, and people are excited about all the stuff, and it's all this stuff that you love, and it's literally just a celebration, right in the name. So nailed it there. So yeah, Jake, I'm super excited that you got to go and take part in it, and thankful that you could come on and kind of share your own experiences with it, because like I said, we were just kind of taking it in secondhand here at home. So good to have some boots on the ground there, in person to take it in for us and for the podcast.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to share.
All right. Well, Cassia, so Celebration has come, it has gone. Just a couple weeks off of May the 4th. I'm sure we're gonna have a bunch more Star Wars stuff to talk about then, including like I said, Visions coming out then. So keep an eye out for some stuff for that. We have a really fun episode planned for May the 4th, but we're talking about Celebration. Do you have any kind of closing thoughts on what we learned, the lessons we learned, the friends we made along the way, this Celebration 2023?
well, maybe this will verge into like uh just like Cassia crying about Star Wars, but I don't know, like
That's okay.
I've loved Star Wars since like I was 6 years old. Just like I don't know, it's like kind of just instantly fell in love with it. It was like a new type of fairy tale, and it just, I think, is perfect for like the way my brain is set up, and like kind of like the imagination I had, and just like there's always Harry Potter and Indiana Jones, but like Star Wars is kind of like my thing, you know, like it's kind of how I judge stories. Like I accidentally always kind of like compared them to Star Wars, but I think like what Celebration reminds me of is like Star Wars means a lot to people all over the world, different like for all of our differences, we're Star Wars fans, and Star Wars is bigger than like any any particular show or movie or creator, you know, and maybe even bigger than George Lucas, you know. But I just love Star Wars, and I'm glad that Celebration exists, and I can't wait to see what the future Celebration holds in Japan 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Well said. My key takeaway kind of from Celebration every time that there is one is it's really just reinvigorating as a Star Wars fan, because you kind of get it and you hear all these hot takes about all of this stuff, but yeah, at the end of the day it's something that's, you know, something that we all really love, you know, deep down, and to see everyone kind of come together like that, and, you know, see all of the voices of people that are working on it and also have, you know, dedicated their lives to loving something and bringing something to us that, you know, sometimes you love, sometimes you don't love, but, you know, just to see the passion and the heartfeltness behind all of it all is always really, really endearing, and like I said, just reinvigorating for myself as a fan. So yeah, excited about Celebration 2023, excited to see what happens in Japan. I imagine it's going to be insane and insanely amazing. They're very excited for the people that are able to attend that. I'll have to do some soul searching to see if I'm ready to make that long trip over there. I don't know. We'll have to see about that one. So I don't know. I guess that's a Celebration. So Jake, once again, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it, and we're very excited that you got to go and be a part of this. Why don't you let everyone know where they can find you or find any of your artwork or any of that stuff?
You can find me on Instagram at Jake Bodie Fleming, just one M. But yeah, no, thank you for having me on though. I really appreciate having the opportunity to share my experience.
Yeah, and you've also helped us with the Bastila audio drama. You created the thumbnail for that, and it's coming out. We're just in post-production, just waiting on the score, but we're excited to share it with you. And Jake's art is a big part of that.
Oh, thank you for letting me do that. That was really fun to work on.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're a member of the Patreon, you've seen a sneak peek of that artwork now, and then yeah, it'll be coming out once the final product is ready to publish. And like Cassie said, hopefully not too distant future, but we'll keep everyone up to date on that, on all the social medias and Discord and all that stuff. So thank you again, Jake, for coming on. We really appreciate it. Cassie, I don't know. I think that that wraps up Celebration. We're going to go out with a bang, just like the Celebration London 2023 did, and I guess it's time to sign off and say, may the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
Yeah, may the force be with you.